How do you start spiritual conversations? Well, they typically start in casual interactions about sports, weather, job, and you need to have some sort of transition to meaningful conversation. My experience, asking why questions have really helped, or just having some preset questions that you have that get deeper of like, hey, I know that you work this job. Why do you work that job? What led you to want to do that? What do you love about that job? And you'll find yourself in meaningful conversation, hearing more from their heart and their passions. And you'll need to make some transition from meaningful to spiritual because this will be a great interaction, but they'll still be eternally separated from God afterwards. And so once you find a point of relatability, you'll share a piece of your story or testimony with them, where you share life before Jesus encounter, life after, and that question, where are you at in your spiritual journey, or are you a spiritual person, or do you have any relatability to what I've shared? That will take meaningful to spiritual, and that will either have them flee back to casual conversation, or they'll lean in, share more of their curiosities spiritually, and then you get to share the gospel here in this interaction, and that'll create an incredible moment for them. But it will not necessarily lead to a movement, because we want to transition to discovery, where we get to invite them into relationship and to discover God more together. And so this stage of the conversation is more logistical and more first steps of saying, hey, are you free in the next couple days? Let's grab a meal or a drink together and let's talk more about these things. Or what's the biggest question you have? And so let this be a helpful perspective. If you're uncomfortable talking to people about your spiritual background, then just warm up by saying, hey, this week I'm going to engage with my friends and family and strangers casually, and then maybe try to next week engage with strangers more meaningfully, and then the following week engage more spiritually into discovery. And it'll create a more of a lifestyle of evangelism, not just like, oh, I went out evangelizing once. And so don't let this restrict you. You will see it's less abrasive if you're able to have some of these things go in order, but it's also not wrong just to jump right to spiritual, where if you only have a couple, minutes with somebody, say, hey, how's it going? Great, sweet, they're checking my groceries, and you just jump right to your story, and then an invitation to talk more about these things. And so this is the conversation transitions.